this second video, we run through downloading and opening the spreadsheet and the first few settings you will need to adjust to make it more useful for your own situation. You can download a copy of the spreadsheet from our website www.susaquasterling.net/small tilapia. There may be minor differences between the version shown in this video and the version you download, depending on any future amendments or enhancements. Once the file is downloaded, click on the file name to open it. You will need a full recent version of Microsoft Excel, e.g. Office 365 or Excel 2016. The spreadsheet will not work if opened with OpenOffice, Google Sheets, or any other spreadsheet software. Some important functionality may also be lost if you used an older version of Microsoft Excel. You'll probably receive a warning message about unsafe content. The default setting for most installations automatically disables macros for downloaded spreadsheets. You will need to allow the active content, e.g. by clicking on the Enable Content button, in order to use the navigation buttons within the spreadsheet. If you use Microsoft Edge to download the spreadsheet, it may have an additional block. You can turn this off by right-clicking on the file name in Windows Explorer and selecting Properties from the pop-up menu. At the bottom of the dialog box that appears, there is a box that you can tick to unblock the active content. It is assumed that you are familiar with the basic use of Microsoft Excel. However, very little knowledge of Excel is required to use this tool. The main thing to note at the start is that the file is a workbook with many different pages or sheets. Each sheet can be found as a tab at the bottom of the screen. Start on the tab 0-Start here. For first use, it is suggested that you just fill in the information in the first section of this setup page. We will return to the advanced section later. You will see white rectangles containing numbers which you can edit. Any other numbers shown on this or other sheets are calculated and protected from direct alteration. The first question asks how many cages you have. This information will be used later in the analysis. If you use more than one cage size, providing they're not too dissimilar, it is suggested that you calculate the average volume and then adjust the dimensions in the next section to give this average. If you have a large number of cages and usually manage several in the same way, you could enter the number of groups here, although you will then need to enter cage dimensions that give the volume of the group and not an individual cage. The next question asks if you have rectangular or circular cages. If you have both and the volumes are significantly different, it is suggested you run the model with one type of cage and then again with the other. However, you will have to keep a copy of your results and combine them manually. If they are close in volume, you can select either rectangular or circular and ensure the calculated volume equals the average cage volume. For circular cages, you are asked for the circumference measurement in meters. This is the measure most often used by plastic cage suppliers, as it is the length of pipe that is used to form the circle. Immediately below this number is the calculated diameter, which is often the more meaningful measure for farmers. You also need to enter the cage depth. Especially for larger cages, this is likely to be deeper at the centre. As cage nets are often distorted and cage volumes reduced through the effects of currents, it may be reasonable to take the bottom of the side net as the depth of the cage. Alternatively, you could take a depth at approximately 1/3 of the distance between the cage edge and the centre of the mean depth. If you select rectangular cages, you are asked for length, width and depth measurements in order to calculate the volume. The main point to note here is that the spreadsheet only directly uses the volume of cages in its calculations. The next question is how many days per year are not suitable for farming. This is in case you are not allowed to culture fish during certain weeks of the year, or choose not to due to climatic or other reasons. The number you enter here will alter the next figure shown below, which is the number of days per year available for farming. The next question is your average water temperature. This information is used in the growth model. For Lake Victoria, a temperature of 26 degrees is suggested. The value must be between 20 and 30 degrees C. The spreadsheet assumes your site is in a large tropical lake where water temperatures are quite stable. If your site is in a different kind of water body where temperatures vary seasonally or diurnally by more than a few degrees, the model may not be suitable for you. The final question here asks for the weight loss you expect between harvesting the fish and sale of the fish. For instance, if you harvest a fish, bleed it and then remove the guts for sale, the weight loss will be at least 10%, i.e. a 500 gram fish at harvest becomes a 450 gram fish at the market. This adjustment only affects the calculated value and weight distribution of the fish that are sold and not the fish that are produced. Great! Now that you have these basic site details set up, you are ready to think about how to best use these cages for farming tilapia. By default, it is set up to explore 4 different production scenarios. They are listed here below the main input variables. We will look at these in more detail in the next video.